Good morning. Happy Monday. It's nearly Christmas. Only 3 more sleeps to go. Is it 3? 22nd. Yes, 3 more sleeps to go. Good morning, Joe. Season's greetings to you too. Yes, let's put good morning, Merry Christmas. Good morning. Merry Christmas. How are you all? It's can't believe how close it is. I can't believe it's this week. Last week I was thinking, we're away this weekend with family, and then it's Christmas next week. But I hadn't realised actually there's only like 2 days really before it all kicks off, and one of those days is taken up Monday working. The other one is taken up shopping, and then that's it. It's Christmas. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty busy couple of days ahead, I think, trying to get everything organised. Like, oh gosh, there's people staying, and I haven't sorted the bedding out. And good morning, Mary. Merry Christmas, Mary. Yeah, I got my coffee. So we got back late. Well, not too late actually. We got back last night. We've been in Gloucester spending time with family. It's been lovely. It was so nice, but it's so hard to leave. We're there, having, and you slip back into just being, part of the hustle bustle, and then you got to leave. It's horrible leaving, but beautiful being there with everybody. Hello, Leslie. Good morning. Merry Christmas. How are you? I think everybody's on that sort of that slope now, aren't they, to just enjoying the festive period. So hopefully you're not too manic and you've got some time to enjoy the next few days without any stress. Yeah, but that's sort of wishful thinking, isn't it, in our busy lives? Oh, Merry Christmas. Is that Welsh? I would not attempt to say it because I might offend lots of Welsh people, so I'm not going to. But if you want to say it phonetically for us, Mary, I might have a go. Joyeux Noël. What other languages can we say it in? You're good, all organised. Oh, that's good. Mainly organised. I got to wrap Chris's presents and a few of Chris's mums. It's amazing. You spend all that time like shopping and putting lovely bows on and making everything look pretty, and then within 5 minutes it's all open. Everybody's opening their presents. It's crazy. There's 21 of us, I think, in my mum's little living room yesterday, all trying to open presents. And my big nephews, my sister's 3 boys, they did a thing between them, which was hilarious. And they had a competition that they had £5 each to spend on each other. That was it. And it was a competition to buy the most random or funny gift for each other. So they went first with their exchanges. And of course, my oldest nephew, he was sat there with his little pile of presents for his 2 brothers, and my youngest of the boys, of my sister's boys, was sat with his little pile of presents. And Jack says, I'm just going to go and get mine. And he went to his car and he could hardly fit them through the door, and he came into the corridor and everybody was like, what on earth have you bought? It was humongous. And Jack comes in with his presents, and he's funny, Jack. He's the funniest person. And he came in and he was like, here you go, Knight. And he gave Narayan his present, and Nye opened it, and it was a wicker magazine rack, a Dyson Hoover filter taped to a ceramic plate, and 2 DVDs, one on penguins and one on pandas. Just the weirdest present ever. And then he said, right, his little brother, you go, Tay. And Tay opened it, and it was a wheelchair, a whole wheelchair with a DVD and a DVD. So for £5, he'd managed to get a wheelchair, a magazine rack, a Dyson Hoover filter, a plate, 3 DVDs, and a wheelchair. So he obviously won, but the others were silly as well. So the youngest of them bought his oldest brother a doorknob, and then he brought his other brother a box of chocolates, but he'd taken out all the ones that Jack liked and left all the ones he didn't like with a bottle of water. It's very strange, very random. And then I can't remember what Nye bought one of them a funny hat because he's been nicknamed Uncle Fish. I don't know why, but it's just stuck, and so it was a fishy hat. And then what did he buy Jack? Oh, a face mask thing of this meme that Jack looks like this silly man that's on the internet. But it was so funny. And I think it will now be a Christmas tradition, and I dread to think where it's going to go next year. But I'm sure we'll all be very excited to see it. Just so silly. And then there was just lots of games and tons of food. And my mum, bless her, if you're in, Mum, it was such a wonderful day hosted by Mum. And Mum had surgery on her back on Tuesday. And still had us all over. An operation that kept getting put back. You all know what that's like. You've all been there yourselves, or with family members. But yeah, Mum's had an operation now on her back to sort of cauterize some of the nerves to hopefully help with some of the pain. It wasn't a very nice experience at the hospital, I've got to say. We're not very happy with the hospital, but we don't do the bad news here, do we? This is Mojo, so we're only doing nice news. But yes, and NHS staff, bless them, do their very best with the limited resources and time and finances that they can. So, no slating individuals, but the system itself and the protocols. Not a happy bunny with how my poor mum was treated, but anyway, she has had it and can already start feeling some of the positive effects of it. So that's great news. So thanks for asking, Leslie. But yeah, so even after that this week, she still managed to squeeze us all in and spend the whole day in and out of the kitchen, waiting on people and trying to make sure everybody was okay and fed and watered, and it was lovely. And my stepdad Andy, he did a great job too, sort of making sure everybody didn't want for anything. It was lovely, fabulous family feel good day. Really, really nice. So that was Christmas. That was our sort of Gloucester Christmas. So now we've got another one to come with my dad, who I haven't had Christmas Day with for many, 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 many years, probably about 20, maybe more. So that's going to be lovely. We're looking forward to that. And we have Chris's mum as well. So yeah, we're going to try and pull out all the stops to make them have the most wonderful Christmas in our new home in Yorkshire. So yes, yeah, it was sort of one of those sort of emotional days yesterday where I was so sad to leave the Gloucester crew and not stay, but also so happy to be coming home to my new life in Yorkshire. It's one of those things, you can't have it all, can you? So swings and roundabouts, and it won't be long. Next year I'm sure will be a quieter year, and I'll be able to get back to Gloucester a bit more to see everybody. And I should imagine lots of you have family descending on you for Christmas, or maybe you're descending on family for Christmas. Hopefully you've got a nice time planned no matter what you're doing. How is everybody? Is everybody going away? Is anybody going away? Anybody doing anything exotic? I know some of one of our customers came in and they were off to Bali for Christmas. I can't imagine. Christmas is cozy and cold for me. I can't imagine being under palm trees. Doesn't feel right. Oh, another bit of news, actually. Chris and I are now Lord and Lady, so you may call me Lady Flynn if you like. Or my lady, because a joke started when we moved up here, that we were Lord and, that Faye addressed our card as Lord and Lady Flinthorpe. Is a joke, and she's taken it a bit further and actually bought us titles. It's for a castle in Scotland. So Leslie, we are now Lord and Lady. I can't remember the name of it. Because she's sort of invested in the restoration, and part of that was buying titles. So now we are officially Lord and Lady. And we have our own tartan. I mean, Chris has his own tartan anyway because he's Scottish heritage. We're Scottish, but his tartan is actually Irish. So now we have our own tartan. So we're very excited about that. You're at home with the doggies, Leslie? Quiet one, but really looking forward to it. Oh, yeah. It's nice to get cozy and be cozy inside. We've decided we're going to do our Christmas dinner in the shop, which would be fun because obviously I have commandeered the dining room as my work room, and it's definitely not going to be fit for people to sit in to eat dinner. So we decided, well, we're going to do it in the shop because we can literally serve the dinner over the counter onto the table. And it means also we can shut the door on it and deal with it Boxing Day, so that we can literally leave it all there. Not all the washing up, obviously, we'll do that. But, all the tables and chairs, you don't have to scrabble and put them all away. And we leave it all there for Boxing Day, and then come and lounge out in the living room, playing games and what have you. So yes, so that's what we're going to do. It'll be a novel. It'll be very novel to have Christmas dinner in the shop. I'm looking forward to it. And we may actually have some visitors in between Christmas and New Year, which would be nice. My brother and his 4 little ones and his lovely wife. Well, not wife yet, but close enough. So that would be nice. Yeah. Right then. So today's project, I actually haven't got a physical copy because we've sent them out as Christmas presents. So I actually haven't got any of my little snowflakes in real life here, but I did put a picture on the holding screen for this. So hopefully you saw what we're going to make. So it's like it can be a star or a snowflake. You can adjust how many sort of points you have on it. And change it however you like, but it's a really nifty little technique, and I'm sure adaptable to make other things in other projects. So I mean, you could use this technique to make flowers, for example, just by changing a few things. So yes, so you can do that. So hopefully you'll enjoy the little project. Also, you can scale it up and scale it down, so you can make mini ones or big ones. In fact, I do have some mini ones in the shop as earrings. I made some tiny ones as earrings. They're really cute. They're a bit big, but they're cute. It looks good. Our Christmas table is going to be tartan themed. Oh, nice. Have you got your own? You must have your own tartan. Leslie, have you got your own tartan associated with your ancestors? It looks good, says Mary. Yeah, it's a nice project. It's a really natty little tutorial. Actually, it's really clever. When I came across it, I thought, oh yeah, that's clever, and I can adjust that. So I experimented and did it, and I ran it as a workshop for beginners a few weeks ago, and they all managed it. So hopefully it's something that will translate easily on the screen and not be too tricky for those of you with a bit more experience as well. Yes, yours is Macintosh and John's is Anderson tartan. Oh, nice. So have you got that on your table, or is it just like the traditional sort of red and black and white tartan? Because I have my tartan trousers on today. I love tartan. I've always loved tartan. It's just so nice, isn't it? Traditional red and green for the table. Oh, nice. I'm just going to cover our table. I've got like some sacking fabric, you know, and then I'm going to do some moss, put some moss on it, and little presents across the table, you know, little like games and things, and then loads of ivy. Got tons of ivy. Got loads of stuff left from making wreaths, so I'm just going to fill the table with ivy and pine cones and just do like a big centre runner. Hopefully it'll look lovely. You love the Anderson, went to Strathclyde Uni. Ah, well, there you go. These little coincidences. I don't know. I wouldn't know what they are offhand, but I know when I was researching for Chris's for the wedding, I was thinking maybe we would go with a tartan. I was researching Chris's, you know, family coat of arms and tartan, and then realised that his tartan actually is Irish. The name Flynn is Irish. You know, going back. So we didn't go for it in the end. It didn't sort, and he didn't want to wear a kilt, so it was a bit cold. I'm glad he didn't, given that Storm Bertie was blowing a gale, and it could have been quite revealing for Chris and his best man. It's a lovely light blue. I can picture it. Well, the tartan we've got for our new titles is a cerise pink and like an aqua blue. Very pretty. It's very pretty. It's said to represent the rhododendrons at the castle. So yeah, we own a little tiny plot in the castle grounds, which you know, then I know it's a gimmick, but it does support the restoration. So all these things help support the restoration. But it's nice. It's a lovely thing. We've got a certificate and everything, and you know, a map and a tour there when we finally get up to Scotland. So yeah, so very, very exciting. Great present. Absolutely brilliant present. Right then, shall we do a tutorial? So today is a funny old day. It is the last Mojo. What have I got on my cheek? Oh, a bit of chocolate sprinkle from my cappuccino. Today is a funny old day. It's Monday Mojo, and it's the few days before Christmas. So it's a very lovely festive feeling. But also we have a very sad event today. A lot of us, we are attending virtually, some of us in person, Abby Marsden's funeral. So that's this afternoon. So it's one of those, it's a strange day where you want to be excited and have, you know, fun and be festive, but also you've got this thought that of what's to come this afternoon, and the Abby's lovely husband Jazz and family and their sadness at this time as well. So it's a difficult one to balance today. But those of you who are attending Abby's service this afternoon are more than welcome to join. I've put on a Zoom meeting so that we can get together if we want to talk about Abby. It's sometimes you watch. I've been to virtual services before, and it's really difficult because you're then just sat with your sadness and grief. And the point of a wake after a service is to, you know, share memories and things like that. And it I think we can't do it in person, but we can do it virtually. Perhaps we can get together and just sort of, you know, help that process. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon. I don't know what we'll do when we're in the session. Maybe we'll do something Abby-esque. I was thinking of, you know, doing something like a tutorial, but I haven't really, nothing really feels quite right. So what we'll get in there and then we'll see what happens, and we'll have a chat. So that's scheduled for 3:30 this afternoon. I'm not sure what time the service ends, but it will be from there it will be into Zoom to, you know, to natter, meet, and I don't know what we'll do, but we'll put it open and see what happens. You'll be there, Leslie. That's lovely. There's been a few people that would have liked to be there but can't. So but we'll just get in there and see what happens. It'd be nice to chat and remember some of the lovely and funny times that we've had on workshops and courses and days out and meetings with Abby. So yeah, so there's that. So we'll keep Mojo nice and festive and light, and then as we usually do, and then we'll meet later after the service. Okay, so what we all need for this tutorial is 0.8mm wire. It's the best one for this because you want a bit of give in the wire. It doesn't have to hold any, because it's not jewelry, it's decorative. It doesn't have to be too strong. It's nice and easy to manipulate, but it gives a good framework to work into. So 0.8mm wire and a 0.4mm wire for adding embellishments and stitching things together. So that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to use a gold plated wire today. So let's get the camera down on the desk. I'm going to put my thumb over it while I do it, because otherwise everybody gets very dizzy. I'm glad it's working today as well, because do you remember last week it just wouldn't work. I just couldn't get it to sync. The camera kept saying the camera was being used in a different app, and I could not. I set the computer down, I turned everything off, and I still couldn't get it to go. So luckily today it's working. Right, let's see. Get all this chaos. I've still got a piece of jewelry to make for a Christmas present, so gotta get on with that in between things today. Let's go down. Right, and I've got one earring. I can't find the other one. Very annoying. Right. Okay, so the other things we'll need then in terms of tools is we're going to need a ruler, but not for measuring. We're just going to use it as a tool, okay? And it doesn't have to be a ruler, but something flat and thin and flat that you can bind your wire around, all right? And that'll come more apparent when we start doing it. And you might find something that you can use instead. Right. Hold on, I'm just having to move this platform a little bit out of the way. Put that over there, that over there. And I have a sip of water as well because my throat seems to be dry. Right, so a ruler, and then you're going to need your usual suspects in terms of pliers. So some flat nose, maybe round nose. You might not need round nose pliers, and some cutters. Okay, to get going with this. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is take our 0.8mm wire. See if I can remember this. And we're going to wrap it around our ruler. Okay, so I'm going to, let me just change the camera a minute to focus it in here. Just move that. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to take the wire. So I'm going to leave a bit of a tail just in case I need it later. And then I'm going to wrap it around. So don't worry about being too tight. Just wrap it around like that. And we want 6. Does that, depend on how many times you do this, gives you a different number of points. But I'm going to go for 6 wraps on this edge. So the cut edge separately and 6 wraps on this edge. Okay. So that's 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then I'm going to trim that off with a similar length tail. So we're like that. Okay, and then I want you to just push them together like so, and give them a good squeeze to flatten them off. Okay, and that, because we haven't wrapped too tightly, so don't really tug at this or wrap it around too tightly, because by squashing it together now, what we're doing is making them sort of slightly longer than the width of the ruler, which then helps it slide off. So flatten it with your fingers as much as you can, and then go in with your chain nose or flat nose pliers and give them a pinch down, not too much. We don't want to crimp it to the ruler, but we're just going to give ourselves a bit of a helping hand by squishing those before we take it off. So both ends, go in and squish them down. There we go. Okay. Then we are going to slide it off. In fact, let me just give that one a bit of a squish before I do it. That one got a missed out. Then we're going to slide it off the ruler. Okay, like that. Right. Okay, so now we want to open it up. So open it by pulling it like that. And that's the start of the process. Okay. So now what we do is we're going to leave these ends here, because that little loop we might use. You see how it's sort of looped? We might use that. But these ends we're going to now come in and squish them together. So make them a bit tighter. So in here, just going to squish them a bit, make them a bit tighter. Not overly, but just a bit tighter. So just so you know that in one of the steps in the future in this project, we need to pass 0.4 millimeter wire through here, through these little gaps, and so we don't want it too tight a pinch. So just pinching them like that, just get them a bit tighter. Okay. And then, so also what you'll find is that it's sort of twisted because it went round the ruler. You can see that this is twisted. Don't worry about straightening it out. We actually want the flat sides together. Okay, I'm going to switch pliers to these ones just because I got a flatter edge to work against here. And then you can see on these pliers that I've made some little marks. Okay, so that mark there, which is about 1 centimeter down from the tip, is the one I'm going to use. So let me sharpen that line up a little bit so that you can see it. And this is going to make sure that my bends are consistent. Okay. So let's open it up a bit. And now I'm going to take my pliers and put them along the two. So we've got two together here where we've pinched them together. They're sort of flat together like that. And I'm going to put my pliers on, and I want the bottom of that bend to be where that mark is in my pliers. So can you see that there? It's just inside on that mark. Okay, and then I'm going to push one of the loops at the top one way. So I'm going to push it against the tip of the pliers so that the bend is on the tip. So I'm going to push it that way, and then the other one I'll pull the other way. Okay, like that. And then we go along and we do the same on each one. So pushing them together, line them up with your marks, push one, that way, and the other one the other way. Okay, and it's just, the bend is about 45-degree angle. Okay, so we're going to go in again. Oh gosh, what have I done here? One goes one way. Oh, one goes one way and one goes the other way. Can you see what's happening? Those those points are coming together in the center, and we're starting to get like the points of a star, or the, you know, the sort of sections of a snowflake. And it will want to twist around, so don't worry, we flatten it all out at the end. At the first it might look like a bit of a spider when you're doing this, but don't worry. Okay, and then we'll bend that one in that way and that one that way. Okay, so now we bring these together. Oh, I've got my ends mixed up here. I think I might have gone a bit wrong. I did do 6, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did, yeah. I just haven't pulled them round well enough yet. Okay, so what we need to do is increase these angles so that it comes round into a star. So we'll go back in and just keep increasing the angles until it makes a circle and all those points meet in the middle. So just adjust all the angles like so, and we can pull these a bit wider, but it is best to do this in, you know, small stages rather than trying to do it all at once. And we'll bring them round until these top ones meet. So I don't quite know how I've ended up with 5 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 6. I think I've used the wrong end. Anyway, we'll do it again in a minute because it's nice to see it go all the way through, and then we'll do it again. Right, let me put this. Get these tails out the way. Okay, so do it all the way around until your 2 points meet. So those 2 ends, they meet up like that, and we've ended up with a 5 point. I think I should have gone round one more time. We'll do it again in a minute. Okay, so we end up with these 2 points coming together where the loops are. And so what we'll do is make sure that we've got everything right before we chop some of these wires off. So I'm just going to chop a bit off of each one now, just so we can get the center tied up, and then we can make sure that it all lines up before I commit to cutting those off properly and working with it. Okay, so now we're going to get some 0.4mm wire. I have some handy here. And we're going to run that around the center to bring all those points together. All right, so just because they're just loops like that, you can just thread them down in and then into the next one, and you'll have to just go in between each one. So it involves coming up through the loop and then down. Unless you want to thread it literally through the middle, then you can, but I find it easier just to sort of loop backwards and forwards through the actual snowflake. Bring it all into the center, so that's all brought together now. And then I would probably just go around one more time just to make sure it's very secure. So all the way, if you come up through the star and down, up through the star and down, that's brought all of those center points into one place. And then we'll use this wire in a minute to decorate. So keep that there. But now we can see that we can bring these together and we can get rid of that excess wire. So let's make sure that it lines up. Bring them together like that. And then we can chop off before it crosses one loop there and one loop there. And we can let those cross over. And then when we, you can hook them in together. And then when you come to hang this, you'll use those loops to put your hanger on, because that will then keep them together. Okay, so however you choose to whatever sort of hanging method you choose, whether you use string or sort of a paper clip style to hang them. That's how you keep those loops together, like so. And I generally just do an S hook for my tree, just like that, and then they hang on quite nicely. But if you want it so that it rotates and spins, then you might want to put it on a thread. Okay, so there's our basic star shape. If you're finding that your star points aren't quite equal, just take your pliers in again now and just make the adjustments, straighten any bends or curves that you've got to make it nice and angular, and just sort of refine the shape. You see that curve slightly off there. Okay, and you can see this will work with as many points as you want. Okay, so you can make this looks more like a star now with the 5 points than a snowflake. So I find the 5 points on the star make it look like a star, and then if you do 6 or more points, it looks like a snowflake. But we'll decorate it as if we were going to do a snowflake. So now we're going to start adding some embellishments. So let's just tuck that tail out the way. And we're going to take the wire that we've been using in the center. So just for the tutorial purposes, it's probably best to cut about 1.5 meters of 0.4 wire to do the whole thing. We can add in, but it's nice to have enough to not have to double back. Okay, so we've wrapped around a few times around this point here, just to get it up to the sort of up to the top of that where the star bends there, and then got a wire to go across this section. So in that space, I'm just going to add a bead. So I've got just some crystally sparkly ones here. Bicones work well, the angles work really well. So if I thread on a bicone, drop it down into that gap there, and then take your wire through the next loop, and then back through that one to secure that in place. Okay. So if you're doing that, you can just fill that with the gemstones just like that, and that's fine. Or you can add a little extra twist to it. So if you want to add a little, find another gemstone. So I'm just going to pick up a little bicone. I'm going to drop it down, and I'm going to just decide how far out I want that to sit. So I'm going to sit it sort of what's that, about 1.5 centimeters, 15 millimeters out from the frame. Hold the gemstone there, and then pull the wire back on itself, like so. Okay, like that. And then grab hold of the gemstone and make sure you keep the tension on this length of wire here. Okay, keep the tension on that, and then twist so you get a little extra bit just there. All right, and now we'll take this wire back down through that loop and back up through the loop we came from before we add on another gemstone. So let's pick up another one, thread that one on, let it sit in the next gap, take the wire through the next loop and around and into the loop with the gemstone. And let's do that sort of tiara twist method again. So take a gemstone or crystal, sit it at the length, pull it off like that, the length you want it to sit out, bend the wire back on itself, hold the wire steady so that it doesn't pull when you twist, and then twist the bead until it sits splayed out from that corner there, and then take the wire back through, up through the last one, and then again ready to add in the next crystal. You do that all the way around until you've filled up the space, and it looks lovely. So down through there. You can make mini ones. You can make much bigger ones. You can actually layer them as well. So you can do several and then sort of, stitch them together so that they're at a jaunty angle, which gives you then lots of layers. And that would be really nice for making flowers. But or more 3D sort of stars. So we'll pop that one here, bend it back on itself, give it a twist there. I might as well finish it, hadn't I? Well, almost. We'll do something with the ends, and I'll show you a few tips for the ends. I hope I've got enough wire. I don't want to add any in. Put that one down. Up. I'm not going to have enough, am I? Let's see. Put the wire back on itself. Twist. Add. Oh, I reckon I might just make it. Right, last one. Everybody's laughing in the shop. It seems like everybody's in a nice mood today. We've had lots of lovely cards with lovely messages, and we've had bottles of wine and all sorts of prezzies. It's been nice. Nice to be appreciated, isn't it? Right, so last one going in. Bring that down and give it a twizzle. There we go. And then just to finish the wires, as always, just a couple of wraps around a single frame wire. If you can find a single wire, that's ideal, as then you've got the most secure wrap. So a couple of times wrapping around there, and then we'll trim that off like that. And then I would recommend putting one in the center as well, just to cover that central section there. So you should have the other tail from that 0.4 wire. So bring that up to the center, and then just pop a gemstone in the middle, bead in the middle. This time I think I'll go for a round so it sits better. I go for a big one or a little one? I'll go for a medium size one. There we go. Pop that one in there. That's not a round, that's a rondelle. Oh, these are rondelles, not rounds. I think they've all got mixed up. What's that? Right, position that at the center, thread the wire through, pull it into position, and then again to finish that wire, just use try and wrap it around a single wire if you can. So I'm just going to post it through, stitch it through there. And when it's going to be a decoration, it doesn't matter too much if you've got a bit of, if your wires aren't all tucked in perfectly, because it's not going to scratch. But if you were making these for pendants or earrings or something similar, then you will want to make sure that everything's really securely tied in and all your ends are tucked away nicely. But there you go. There's a star / snowflake. All come together quite nicely. These ends here, so depending on how star-like or snowflake-like you want it to be, I find that when it's a snowflake, these little twists are really, they look nice. They're sort of decorative. But if you wanted it to be a star, then you can just sort of untwist them like that and give those ends a tighter pinch in together, and you get something that's a bit more star-like. So, you can adjust the ends a bit more. I'm going to keep this one like a snowflake, so I'm going to turn that. The other thing is, if you find that it's gone a bit long and loopy and a bit leggy, then one of my students on the course actually took the ends and did another twist as well to make it, you know, a little bit more, give it another bit of interest. And it also sort of straightened all her lines up as well. So it helped fix any wonky bits. So to do it, hold on to the end with your pliers, sort of facing into the design like that. Give it a pull as you twist. Okay, and that sort of straightens everything up as well. So hold, pull, and twist. And we can do the same up here. So hold, pull, and twist. And it just sort of brings everything in a little bit tighter and closer and fixes any potential, any, you know, little problems you might have had. Oh, you're welcome, Mary. It is a lovely little tutorial, isn't it? Good morning, Marjorie. Don't worry about being late. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so that's that one. Should we do it? Should we run through that one more time? Just so that you've got it, and maybe I'll try and do more points or see what happened if I do. Because I don't quite know why I end up with 5 points. I think I maybe counted the wrong side. So let's do it again, see if I can do it better. Yes, please, says Leslie. Good, right. Okay, so take your ruler and we'll leave a tail this end and we'll wrap round, not too tight, just wrapping round. Try and keep your spaces sort of even, but don't worry too much, not too much tension. If you look at it from that way, you can see I've got, you know, it's got gaps. I'm not trying to push it against the mandrel. I'll call this a mandrel, the ruler. Okay, I'm going to do more this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, of course. I'm counting the wrong end. So count 6 on the cut end. All right. I see what I've done now. Count 6 on the cut end because these two end up being cut off, don't they? So yeah, so these end up being the last point. So actually the points are this side. So we want to count this side. So we want 6 whole loops this side with 2 tails for a 6-pointer. But you know, there's no rules. You can do as many points as you like. Right, that one went a bit squiffy, so just pull that one around again. Okay, so 6 points on this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 tails. So actually this side ends up with 7 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And then cut those off. Right then, and then before we take it off, we're going to scrunch it all down together. Scrunch them all down together and pinch them with your fingers as much as you can to flatten them out. Give them a good old pinch. And then whilst they're all nice and tight together, take your pliers, flat nose or chain nose pliers, and pinch them all. It's very important that they don't cross over. So just be very careful not to cross them all over. Now we're not pinching them too tightly so that they're gripping the ruler, but just enough to, you know, to straighten them out, keep them all together. We'll do the same on the other end. Okay, give them a good pinch all over, just to flatten it all off. Okay, and then we'll wiggle it off the pliers, off the ruler, like so, and then pull it out to spread it out. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we'll keep the loops at the end. They're going to be the little points to the stars, and these are going to be the inside bit. So these ones we can pinch together just enough so that they're parallel with one another, but you can still get a 0.4 wire inside there. Okay, so we'll do that along the bottom, pinching them all together nicely. come in, and they do want to wiggle and twist, but just come in and get it however you can. Use whatever technique you can just to pinch them all so they're nice and straight and parallel. Okay, last one. Right, and then you'll probably want to pull them out again because it would have closed up. Give them a little stretch out. Okay, and then they will have a slight twist on because they went round and round the ruler, and we want to make sure that we're keeping that twist in place because that's what's going to help us. So one thing I didn't talk about that before, but it is important that they all line up the right way. So you know, if you want to, you can just go in and just reaffirm that just by pinching them and making sure they're all sort of in the right orientation. Because when you flatten them out, sometimes they can you know, go flat, and we don't want that. We want them still turned. Okay, so just make sure that they are all in the same direction like that, and then make a mark on your pliers so that you can be consistent. It's about 1 centimetre from the end of my pliers here. I've marked down a little mark, and then I can make sure that all my bends are the same. And this bit is very important because if they're different, those points won't meet in the middle and you won't get that star shape. So pop your wire into your pliers with the end, you know, on that mark or just one side of that mark, whatever you choose. Just make sure you do the same each time. Then so you'll have one wire that's uppermost and one that's lower. So the one that's up, push away from you about a 45-degree angle, and the other one that's closest to you, push towards you, again about a 45-degree angle. Okay, then go to the next one, put your pliers in place, push away the top one, bring the other one towards you, and you know, don't worry, don't make your angles too massive. It's better to make them not quite big enough and then make them bigger than to make them too big, because if you do this and make them too wide, it just ends up looking like a big dead spider and you can't work out which bit belongs where. So just do them a bit smaller than you think you need to, and you can always go in and make the angles bigger after. Okay, so pop the pliers in, and of course the angle here will change depending on how many points you do. So it's always best do a few and just see how it's going. You can see those points are nicely lining up. It's looking on track. Pliers in, top wire away from you. And be sure as well, the other thing to remember is that you are pushing against the tip of the pliers when you make those bends. If this happens where you go in like this and that wire is not quite in the jaws, can you see it's not quite in the jaws, and then you do that, your bend ends up down here rather than at the top, okay, and then it's not the right length. So make sure that when you do the bend, you are bending against the tip of the pliers and your wire hasn't slipped out, okay. Same on the bottom one. The bottom one's often a bit easier to do. It's the top one that generally goes out of place. Okay, so now the last one, pliers on, push that way for that one and that way for that one, and you might have to open that up a bit. Oh, I've got options here. Okay, so we've got all of these points meeting in the middle. What should happen is these two end ones should come together to make the seventh point, or we can join them in the middle like that, bring them together and cut them off. In fact, we'll do it that way so that you've seen two ways. So if you wanted to use them together, you bring those together now, loop on each end that matches these loops, and then put the hook through that loop like we did in this one to hold it in place. But the other option is, of course, to just cut these off. So if I cut that one off there and that one off there and bring those together. So that would involve making these a little bit bigger, not too much, just a little bit, opening them up a bit, and then making the bends, the angles a little bit steeper. So if I do this one first, come in and just make those angles a little bit steeper. You can see how we're getting them to line up in the middle. Every time I make an adjustment, it's sort of moving the star around. And just keep playing with that until they meet without being sort of pulled or forced, like so. That's it, they've all met in the middle. And then we'll use the wire to stitch that center together and give it some stability. So make sure you do enough wire here. So I'm going to take my 1.5 meters to finish this, to do this star, and hopefully I can do everything with just one length of wire. So leave a tail so that you've got to stitch the middle in when you've finished. And let's take this wire down into the first sort of loop there, or hook there, and then through the one next to it. And then to get it to the next one, come up through the loop and down into that spot there. Hold on, and then up through the next loop and slide it down into that loop, up through and down, up through and down, up through and down, slot it down, and that should have brought them all together. And then go round again. Okay, so go round twice to make sure they're all together. So that's in there. I can do those two. Up through, down, through, down, through. And then those wires should now meet, and if we give them a good pull, should bring them all, stitch them all in together nice and tight at the center. Okay, so that's that. And can you see now they're not quite even, so now they're all stitched together and they won't move around as I change them. I can sort of make some other little adjustments now, so I widen that one out. That's probably about right. Okay, and then you just go through that same process of stitching in the variety of gemstones you want, and if you are thinking of layering, make sure that each layer has the same amount of points, because what you'll want is the points to sit in between the other points, because this hasn't got the right number, it won't. But yeah, if you had another 6-point star like this on top, you would end up looking like you've got a 12-point star. It will look really pretty. And again, you can layer them up. So if you did 3, you could have one with the points coming this way, one with them going that way, and one in the middle, look quite 3D and would spin round nicely. But that is your snowflake tutorial, and you can embellish it however you like. So I hope you like it. You like it, Marjorie? Oh, good. It is a nice little project, isn't it? Very sweet. I love how it all comes together in the center. So hopefully you won't find it too tricky. Do persevere with it, because at some points when you're doing it, you think this is never going to work. But just remember, do those angles slowly, in small increments, and keep adjusting it so that it's laying flat, because it's easier to see when it's flat. Yeah, and just have a play and experiment. Okay, right. Let me put you back so I can see you. Just have a swig of my coffee. Oh, that's me, upside down me. How have I done that? There. And there. Cover that up. That's it. Okay, so there you go. There's your Christmas stars. Hopefully it's easy enough to follow, and you'll be able to replay it anyway. It will be on Mojo, so you can replay and have another look. And the photo is on the front of the video, so that might also make it easier to sort of look at if you've got a finished picture to see. Okay, well, thank you all for joining me. I wish you all a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Our next Mojo it's going to be before the new year, isn't it? Let me have a look at my calendar. Where has it gone? So our next Mojo is next Monday, which is the 29th. So yeah, it's a normal day in between Christmas and the New Year. So hopefully we'll have a quick catch up. Then maybe we can set some creative New Year resolutions. What do you think? Maybe we could have a process of doing that and share what we're planning to do creatively for the year ahead. And then we can perhaps check back in on the first one in January. So yeah, I'll think on the lines of that and try and bring something that might, a tool or something that might help you make some creative goals or intentions for the year ahead. Oh, you've got your calendar. Oh, good. Oh, we were on tenterhooks with that calendar. The delivery attempts failed, and then it went all the way back to the manufacturer, and then it had to come all the way, and then it came. So I'm so thrilled you've got it, Leslie. It was an absolute nightmare. You know, it was daily messages backwards and forwards. Has it arrived back yet? Have you sent it out yet? Can you do it next day? Oh, so got the calendar, love it. Oh, so pleased. I'm so pleased. There are still, I think, 4 or 5 left. So if you know anybody that would like one, please share the link and tell them how lovely it is. I'm really glad you like it. Yeah, I can't wait to put mine up and start doing it. And you know, if you've got it, you know, January's tutorial is actually there already, so you can go ahead. I put that one on just so that it's there ready, so you can get a really good idea of what's to come for the year. And the others get released per month, so they're all written up, they just don't get released until the start of the following month. Keep it in your craft room. Yeah, that's it. Mine's going up here somewhere on the board. I might actually put it up here, and then I can refer to it. Yeah, so I'm very, very excited and pleased with it. I'm so glad you've got it. It was touch and go. We were very worried. But yeah, oh great. Well, that's good news. Okay, so bring your calendars then next week, and we can maybe set some intentions and put them on the calendar. That would be good. We'll go from there. Okay. Merry Christmas. Thank you all for a very lovely year, creative year, and for joining me every week on Mojo. I hope you have a lovely Christmas. Yeah, and I'll see some of you this afternoon. Yeah, bye.